I thought it was the Funk Soul Brother. Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now. That's a Rockefeller skank. Listen, it's not the Funk Soul Rubber. It's the Funk Soul Brother. But I didn't know it was the Rockefellers. That's a good song. But I am in 30 Rock. Rockefeller. What? Is that why you said that? Because if so, spice up. Very astute. Very astute indeed. SML, I am. I'm in the studio. I'm in the 30 Rock studio. Look at this. Look at this nice, fancy studio. Look at this fresh studio. So fresh. Are you kidding me? I don't know if the camera's that fresh. Because I'm on my work computer that is not, you can see. It's not the best picture quality. But the studio, what? This is a studio. I'll give you guys a studio tour. Here we go. We got cameras over here. We got windows over here. We got a new floor director today. Tell the people hello.
Hello.
Have they told you about the stream?
Oh my God, no.
So we have a stream before the show. This is the behind the scenes.
Oh,
Stay tuned behind the scenes. Special access only on Twitch and YouTube and TikTok, right? So yeah, this is the show. There's Max Columbus. Hi, how's it going? What 30 Rock studio are we in?
3A West.
3A West. SML, I saw you on the third hour of today. Thank you for watching the third hour. That's awesome. Freddie, thanks in advance. Chiron, hello. Let's see. Who else is in here? Spice Shup is here saying the Funk So Rubber, but those are not the accurate lyrics. I don't know why you're trying to mess me up before my show. This is, what do we call this? The cave over here?
The Vista?
The Vista. This is the Vista right here. Look at this Vista. Oh, what? 3 walls of screens. Love the Vista. This is the 80, right?
Yes.
This is the 80-incher. 80-inch right here. This is the what? Tower? This is the tower. Look at how high it goes. And this used to be where they shot NBC Nightly News for a little while. See that? That shifts. Watch this. Whoa. This is why I'm not a camera operator. Huh. Cool, right? So yeah, this is Rockefeller Plaza. Coolest studio, I think, in the building. And for us, this is our home tonight. So yeah. Since we're hanging out for the first time, I'm gonna seem like I'm distracted by the stream.
Okay.
But I hear you and I'm listening. But feel free to be like, and I'll snap in. Yeah, exactly. Be like, hey, excuse me. So yeah, what we do, and actually, if you guys, if there's anybody here that is new to this, what we do is we have this behind the scenes stream that starts 15 minutes before the show. And if people have questions about the news, they can ask them here and then we answer them. And then we secretly keep the stream going throughout the show. And then during the commercial breaks, people can ask questions, or sometimes during the segments, they can ask a question and I'll just take it from the stream and I'll ask like the correspondent or whoever's around.
Okay.
So if you have family and they want to watch you in action, you can tell them about the stream today.
Okay.
So text them. Yeah. Tell them to find us on TikTok or Twitch or YouTube.
Right.
Yeah. All of the studio guys in LA have like little fan clubs.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. What had you go to New York tonight? I'm so glad you asked. There was this very, very important competition. It's called the World's Ugliest Dog. And I, as one of the world's ugliest correspondents, I am one of the judges. So it's not the world's ugliest dog until we say it's the world's ugliest dog. We take that responsibility very seriously. And this year, we have very ugly ugly. Not cute at all. Not adorable. Not super squishable. Not lovely and cuddly and the best. Very ugly Ginny Lou, who has been crowned the world's ugliest dog. I don't know if you guys have seen pictures, but the word ugly is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
5 minutes on show.
But yeah, we'll see. Jay Place, I saw you on CNN. Ooh, did I sneak into CNN? That would be interesting because I work for NBC. But maybe you saw CNN take a stream from somebody else of me on the stage doing the world's ugliest dog competition. And maybe the CNN editor was like, wait, I didn't realize that guy worked for NBC. Or maybe it was just such an amazing story that they just had to do all of it. But yeah, that's interesting. But also, thanks for watching NBC, Jay Place. We won't take offense for your CNN discretion. SML, control room is too far and my ankle hurts too bad. But come on, SML, I gave you that tour for you. 5 minutes, we're starting in the Vista. Jay Place, no way. I love those CNNers and the CBSers and the ABCers. The truth is we all get along out in the field and we're like, hey, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a long time. How's the family? Give each other hugs. Like all correspondents love each other. Let's see. Top secret, Jay Place. What's top secret is what I'm doing tomorrow at MIT in Boston. Oh, can't tell you about that. Let's see what shows are filmed in Studio 3A West. Just stay tuned right now. Ginny does deserve the accolades. Ginny has worked really hard. 2 years in a row, she's won the Spirit Award. She has the best contingent of fans that go out there every year to Sonoma. They support her. And I took my family this year, and my son, who's 2, he goes up and he just starts yanking on her tongue. And I'm like, Rio, you can't just pull on tongues like that. Did Ginny Lou sweat it? Not at all. Ginny Lou just was such a champ. She was so sweet. Your camera keeps flickering and your audio is delayed. Jay Place, yeah, it's because I wish I could just take this camera out and show it to you, but I'm running on kind of an older Dell. It's a technical fix that we've made because the anchor of the show, like a dummy, forgot his iPad. So sometimes we have to MacGyver up a solution, and Kevin was able to do that. But maybe it's not the best audio and maybe it's not the best video. But guess what? Don't worry. We got a full-on show coming up for you. Kevin's trying to fix it. NBC News says that means it's Kevin. Great day out here on the Columbia River. Mods Kings. Great to know. Good job doing nightly news on Sunday. What? You saw that? And you're on TikTok? Yeah, I did. It was, did nightly news, and it was very scary. That music, guys, that music just gets in my head every single time. 3 minutes. We got 3 minutes. So if you guys have questions about today's show, let's get to it right now. But thank you so much for watching, James. That means the world to us. All right, I got to lock in here for just a second. Make sure that I know what the order is here. We are starting with that really tragic story out of Hollywood right now. Let's see here. Here we go. I don't know where my iPad is. Jay Place, that's so true. I can show it. Let me see. Main. There we go. There's the control room. Locking in. That's not the right rundown.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes to the top of the show. Day. Rundown. There we go. There's my show. Okay. All right. Wait, that's not right either. Where is this? Xing out of that. Stay tuned. Oh, come on. There we go. All right, we're in 90 seconds. We got 90 seconds till we're over in the Vista. All right, guys, I got to go over the Vista. Make sure I can remember this here. Okay, good. It somehow made your audio quality better. Interesting. That was probably Kevin behind the scenes. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to hide you guys I'll hide you guys over here.
1 minute.
Oh, you've already got questions. What shows do you direct for? What's it like to direct for those shows?
I'll answer later.
Okay, she's going to answer later, guys, because we have work to do here. All right, we're at the Vistas, right?
Okay. We need you back in the Vista.
Okay, I'm just going to hide this over here, and then I'll bring you guys back to the desk when we move. Todd, you there, right? Okay, right here? Okay. I heard somebody say Panettiere, but it's Panettiere, right?
9, 8,
Yep.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Hey there, I'm Gotti Schwartz in New York, and we start tonight with the tragic loss of actress Hayden Panettiere at just 36 years old. Her unexpected death coming after police in South Carolina responded to a reported cardiac arrest of an unresponsive female on Sunday. The investigation is ongoing, and so far no cause of death has been determined, but authorities say there are no signs of foul play or suspicious activity. Tonight, tributes from fans, from family, and Hollywood heavyweights alike are pouring in for Panettiere, a former child star turned two-time Golden Globe nominee with a career that started when she was a year old. She started acting as a baby. She went on to become that familiar face on both the big and the small screens. She's beloved for her performances in so many things. Generation-defining films like Bring It On, All or Nothing, and Remember the Titans, plus television hits like Heroes and Nashville. First, let's go over to NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson in Los Angeles. Steve, what a shock. What's the latest about the investigation out in South Carolina?
Gotti, the Greenville, South Carolina Police Department now leading this investigation. They released a statement earlier today talking about those first responders coming upon the residence where Panettiere was believed to have been staying, and then hearing that there was an unresponsive female inside. The first responders go inside. They tried to resuscitate her. They tried as much as they possibly could, according to this statement, but they just could not get her to revive. And obviously the autopsy, an initial autopsy performed after that, essentially saying no signs of trauma found, no foul play on the outside suspected as far as somebody coming in using blunt force trauma, something else to cause this death, but that most of the manner of death remains under investigation. In other words, we're not going to know the cause of death until more is done. Not only an initial investigation, but moving forward in that investigation, and then a toxicology report, of course, crucial to understanding what happened. That could take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. So really what we know about the investigation right now is all we're going to know for a while, except for the circumstantial. Why was she in Greenville? Who was she seeing? Did any of that contribute to her death? All of that will be work that investigators are up to moving forward.
And Steve, she just released a memoir this past May in which she was really open about a lot of her past struggles. Yeah. What did we learn from that book?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, a lot about the faults of being a public figure. I think a lot of people see these people on TV and movies, and they don't realize what they're going through. And I think that's part of what her legacy will be, right, is sort of exposing herself for helping others. Part of that was substance abuse. She's very candid about that, about postpartum depression, which is a bigger scientific area of research that I think a lot of people haven't dived into. So it's important to say that. About giving up essentially custody of her young child because of all the struggles that she was going through. And then not to mention her young brother in his 20s died in 2023. So all of this coming together at this phase of her life, and she was trying to cope with it. And the sad thing is that she was. If you heard her on this press tour promoting this memoir, promoting this book, New York Times bestseller, it sounded like things were looking up. I want you to hear from her if we can. Just play a little bit from how she was sounding and feeling before this happened. Listen to this.
Because you've talked about your mental health, it gave me the courage to be honest about mine and get myself help, and you saved my life. It's a big piece of evidence. And I was like, this is worth it. I can hopefully leave the world a better place than I found it.
I mean, she was essentially literally saying that she had so much to live for and she was looking forward to that life. And then a few months later, that was in May, we learned about this.
NBC's Steve Patterson, such a heartbreaking story. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Now let's bring in Dominic Patton, an executive editor over at Deadline. Dominic, so many tributes pouring in from Hollywood. What struck you so far?
Well, I think the main thing here is there's a disbelief and terribly a resignation. Hayden, obviously, as she took in her book, and I was very fortunate a couple months ago to actually be at her last event here in Los Angeles, where she talked profoundly about her struggles, specifically with postpartum depression, which we know is one of the leading killers of women in America. And she spoke about her struggles on set, some of the hardships and harshness that Hollywood brought on her. We see people today like Emma Roberts, David Arquette, Selma Blair, Connie Britton, who was her co-star in Nashville, and many others, as well as members of the cast of Heroes, coming out and talking about this particular singular talent. Viola Davis, as you have on the screen there, you know, this was a young woman who many people cared for, respected as a talent, and I think now wish they'd cared for a little more and been a little bit more protective of. She writes in her book, which as was mentioned, was a New York Times bestseller, about some of the sordid underbelly that she experienced in Hollywood and the trauma of that, as well as her struggles with addiction, as well as her struggles, again, with postpartum depression, the struggles with her breakup with her fiancé and the loss of custody of her daughter. But again, it did seem, and I hate to sound like a broken record of your previous, the correspondent, it felt like, certainly when I saw her just a few months ago in Los Angeles with my wife, who's an advocate for postpartum depression, Deborah Herbert, the Emmy-nominated production designer, it seemed like we were in front of a woman who had really found a new strength. She sounded like she was someone who had come out the other side. What we will discover from the autopsy, from the toxicology reports, and later will tell us more, obviously. Yeah. But this is a tragedy of not just a Hollywood star, but of a young woman who seemed that her life had finally found the footing that she wanted it to be on.
Yeah, she made her big screen debut at just 9 years old. For a lot of us, like, it felt like we were growing up with her from all the different roles, from Heroes. And again, a tragic life cut so short. But what do you think she'll be best remembered for? Do you think it'll be these roles, or do you think it'll be what we may learn about her struggles and hopefully awareness for things that people around the world may grapple with on a daily basis?
Well, I think it's going to be a mixed bag, my friend. You know, I think her roles, especially in the Scream franchise and in Nashville, will live on. Especially Scream, obviously, it's a franchise that continues. But I think also, you know, the only comparison I could really think of is someone like a Drew Barrymore, who had a lot of struggles of her own, also a child star. And we see how she found a way through. She found that rock and that foundation that saw her to grow into, you know, the tremendously successful adult she is. I think that the fall, as well as the successes, are going to be the legacy.
Yeah, let's hope so. Dominic Patton, thank you so very much. And now to a trial almost 30 years in the making of rap icon Tupac Shakur. The killer is still out there, and today opening statements started in the murder trial for Dwayne Keefe D. Davis. He's accused of orchestrating the shooting of Shakur in Las Vegas back in 1996. Now, Davis has pleaded not guilty. It all comes after Davis publicly described his role in the killing in both a documentary and a book. Prosecutors say the shooting was retaliation after his nephew was beaten by Shakur and his crew. Let's bring in NBC's Dana Griffin. So how did the prosecution present their case here?
So, Gotti, they essentially laid out this roadmap of murder, saying that Tupac Shakur was killed in that drive-by shooting as retaliation. And they played video from the night of his death. And this was about 3 hours before Tupac was killed. They show video of them inside of a casino where Tupac plus Death Row record exec Suge Knight were seen in a brawl. You could see it there. And this is where they're fighting the suspect's nephew, Orlando Anderson. He's taking a pretty bad beating right there. And listen to how else prosecutors describe this.
Now, let's be clear. Dwayne Davis did not pull the trigger. But what he did do was plan the retaliation for the beating of his nephew.
And prosecutors are also using Davis's own words against him, playing a series of several interviews and also showing excerpts from his memoir in which Davis described that that beating at that casino gave them the green light to retaliate. Gotti?
And what's the defense's strategy here?
So the defense says that Keefe D's statements, public statements, are not reliable. They say that he likes to BS. And listen to what else the defense said.
What you're going to find is that the state cannot prove to you beyond reasonable doubt the claim that Keefe had anything to do with a first-degree murder.
There you have it. So Davis was arrested back in 2023. He has pleaded not guilty.
Interesting.
Gotti.
So the defense is the one that's saying you can't rely on the truth from our client here. That's pretty interesting. What are we going to hear from witnesses, and who else is on the witness list? Because there's some notable names like Suge Knight. Is he going to testify? What can we see here?
He's on the list, but he has said publicly that he does not plan to cooperate. So we may see him called, we may not. Investigators or the state is not willing to tell us exactly who they are calling and in which order. So it's kind of a day-by-day thing. You just kind of show up and figure out who's next. I will say that we did hear from a former Las Vegas officer who described the moment that he rode in the ambulance with Tupac to the hospital. He says he was alive, talking. He tried to convince him to give up a name, the person who shot him, and he says that he wouldn't. He said that he would just say, no, quote, we'll take care of it, almost alluding to the fact that Tupac would not cooperate so that his group could later seek revenge.
Dana Griffin,
Gotti?
Thank you so very much for your reporting. And today, locals in Hawaii are assessing the damage from Lala that struck as a Category 1 hurricane, bringing torrential rain and dangerous winds to the Big Island over the weekend. Look at this video of floodwaters overtaking a bridge in Hilo. And this is a waterfall at a popular state park becoming a rushing torrent. Now, cleanup efforts are underway after Lala destroyed homes and toppled trees, leaving behind a muddy mess. Thousands of people are still without power for who knows how long. And that includes the beloved bake shop, a major local employer and a tourist hotspot. The manager saying the bakery was badly damaged. But the most important thing is that people are okay. NBC's Morgan Chesky is on the ground with the latest.
Tonight, heartbreaking scenes in the wake of Hurricane Lala. Communities left unrecognizable, with devastation striking entire towns. The hurricane turned tropical storm sideswiping the Hawaiian Islands with dangerous winds and torrential rains. Today, our team reached Na'alehu, one of the hardest hit communities on the Big Island.
And it is beyond clear in every direction you look here that this is the place that took the brunt of Lala's power.
The small town turned into a muddy debris field, with one of its only roads in buried beneath boulders, mud, and headstones, picked up and carried from a nearby cemetery.
Is this the worst you've seen?
Absolutely.
We met Thaddeus Griffith, still in shock over what he survived, telling us the rush of water was so strong it nearly washed away his new car.
I came down and it's bobbing in the water. Oh my God, my heart sank.
His neighbors losing everything.
Witnesses say in just a couple minutes, this mud flow picked up anything in its path, from a lawnmower to someone's backyard shed. The power is clear, and we're standing near the foundation of this very home, picked up and carried. Fortunately, the family inside made it out in time.
Families here now fending for themselves. Max Doniger and his wife, pregnant with their second child, doing their best to look after their 2-year-old son.
You don't know when you're going to have water back. You don't know when you're going to have power back.
No, it's going to be a while, man.
There's no telling when this road will be back open. Officials telling us they're still scouring damaged areas to get an assessment of the devastation.
Morgan Chesky for us in Hawaii. Morgan, thank you. Meanwhile, severe weather is wreaking havoc across several pockets of the country. In the Midwest, several days of massive storms have caused historic flooding. Communities have been evacuated. 100,000 people are still without power, and at least 7 people have been killed in Indiana. Plus, in Oklahoma, lightning struck a giant fuel tank, igniting an explosion there. And NBC's Maggie Vespa has more on all of it.
Tonight, a stunning explosion in Oklahoma blamed on this relentless run of severe storms. with lightning striking massive tanks filled with natural gasoline, according to owner Explorer Pipeline. Drone video showing the jaw-dropping aftermath, balls of fire and thick black smoke billowing into the air. It follows a harrowing stretch of severe weather coast to coast. From hail in Colorado to flooding in Ohio. In hard-hit Indiana, fast-moving floodwaters wiping out bridges, ripping apart roads, and swallowing entire neighborhoods in Indianapolis. Firefighters fanning out in rafts, rescuing residents. State officials now saying more than 1,000 people were displaced from their homes and at least 7 killed, including 19-year-old Matthew Morey and 59-year-old Stephanie Sally, who authorities believe was swept away in her car. Today, as floods finally recede, people are pumping water out of their homes and power washing filth off their property. For many, what's inside is worse. Kenny McCree is raising 3 of his grandkids here, their rooms soaked. Has the river ever flooded your house before?
No, ma'am.
He and his wife, Melissa, trashing everything the water touched.
It was disgusting. It really was.
The flood water in your house?
Yeah. Yeah, it was nasty.
I don't know. Did it get wet?
David Redifer and Lucy O'Brien worry their renter's insurance won't cover what's lost, and no demand for government aid will be massive.
We're nervous. We don't know how long that's going to take.
You can hear construction noise here. It's because this is another example of the flood damage. Floodwaters did that. They ripped apart this road, and crews tonight are racing to fix it, in large part because over to the left, authorities say those are utility lines, severed and sticking out of the water. Further proof that cleanup here is a monumental task. Gotti.
So sketchy. Maggie Vespa, thank you. Meanwhile, the president seems to be making some major threats to one of the U.S.'s key strategic partners in the Middle East. In a phone interview with Fox News, President Trump apparently said, if Oman gets in the way, we'll bomb the blank out of them. That is straight from Fox News' chief foreign correspondent. Now, remember, Oman and Iran have been negotiating on how to reopen the Strait of Hormuz that, yeah, as you're seeing on the map, sits right between Oman and Iran. Where does this put negotiations? What does this do to relations in the Middle East? That is all yet to be seen. But it comes at the end of a big deadline that President Trump set when he went to Versailles to sign that memorandum of understanding that was supposed to lead to the end of the war and a deal on its nuclear program. Here's how the president described it 2 months ago.
And it's a memorandum of understanding. If it doesn't get done in 60 days, that's all right. We go back to bombing. You know, I don't want to do that because it's so good. But we might have to.
Well, it's now been 60 days. So what happens now? Is there a nuclear deal? Will bombing start back up again?
On expiration of the Memorandum of Understanding, are you any closer today to reaching a final deal to end Iran's nuclear program?
Well, they want to make a deal, but they're not going to make the kind of a deal that I feel is necessary. Look, we're in there for one reason. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. You understand that? Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't have a nuclear weapon.
Now let's get right to NBC's chief White House correspondent, Garrett Haake. Garrett, sorry we got to go back to this Oman thing first here, but what is our current relationship like with Oman, and what is this going to signal to the rest of the Middle East?
Well, in theory, they're an ally, or at least a strategic partner. Oman is right across the strait from Iran. They're sort of the closest country that doesn't border them directly, as you can see on the map there, just across the water. They have, at times, been more of an ally, and now they're playing more of a neutral role, trying to negotiate an end to this conflict. But the White House is concerned that they're negotiating an end to it that benefits Oman, and that might allow Oman and Iran to both potentially toll ships that come through the strait. The president clearly very frustrated today when he took this question.
Would you say you're out of patience with Oman as strategic
No,
partners?
I don't think they behave very well, but we'd handle them very easily, just like we do others.
The idea that we would somehow deal with Oman militarily as an expansion of this war is very much not consistent with anything else the president has said about it. Going back to when it started, Gotti, I don't think we can take that as like a serious policy prescription, but I do think it's a very clear tell about the president's overall level of frustration that this conflict is still going on.
So there's the things that he says in frustration, and then there's the things that he says at Versailles, right? Like,
yeah.
Back to the 60-day deadline, the war seems very far from over. What now?
Yeah, I think we're further from this war being over than we were when the ceasefire was signed, setting that 60-day window to negotiate its end. I think a lot of people looked skeptically on that memorandum of understanding. It was so broad and so vague and so open-ended back when it was signed in June, and it fell apart very quickly. But there hasn't been a lot of significant negotiations between the two countries ever since. There's been sort of periods of more intense bombing and strikes back and forth. We are in a quieter period now, but there's absolutely no indication that the Iranians in particular are ready to just sort of call this a day and move on. And in a war, both sides get a vote on keeping this going. That's a problem for the president, who has elections in November. Arguably more it is than for the Iranians, who have elections functionally never, for who's actually in control of that country.
Yeah, very good point. Meanwhile, Trump has been saying that the number one goal is that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Do they still have a nuclear program? Because the Strait of Hormuz definitely seems to be getting the lion's share of most attention these days, right?
The short answer is that we don't really know. They still have nuclear material. The material that we know was buried in bombing strikes last summer and at the beginning of this conflict. Whether they're still actively enriching uranium at one of these other sites, you might hear people talk about Pickaxe Mountain a lot. It's another of these deeply buried underground Iranian facilities, is very much an open question. I don't think anybody in the U.S. government thinks they have the ability to develop a nuclear weapon right now. But your point is exactly right, Gotti, in the sense that there's been some real strategic mission creep here between what we set out to do and what might be an acceptable baseline to end this war. Just getting back to the Strait at the level that it was might let the president invoke what I often describe as one of his political superpowers, which is an ability to just declare victory and move on at any time. That seems to be the opportunity he's looking for here, but the Iranians aren't making it easy for him to find one.
Garrett Haake at the White House. Thank you. And don't go anywhere. Coming up next, Nick Reiner is trying to dig into a trust fund set up by his parents that he's accused of killing to help with his double murder trial, but a Slayer statue could get in the way. Plus, weather-modifying projects are at the center of a nationwide push to ban the practice, except is it really happening on a large scale? How it managed to get onto lawmakers' desks anyways. And if you see this QR code, feel free to scan through. You can chat with us live. Let us know your thoughts all hour long. That'll take you behind the scenes. Stream in on YouTube, TikTok, or Twitch. Come chat. All right, 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes. Let's see here. 2 minutes. And I promise we'll get to questions in a little bit. 30 seconds.
Right here.
But stick around for this weather modification conversation, because it is going to be pretty wild. Okay. 20 seconds. Hey, welcome back. Here are some other headlines we are watching tonight. A powerful earthquake has killed at least 68 people in Indonesia and hurt more than 200 others. Thousands are waiting for aid on Flores Island, surrounded by collapsed and damaged homes in a place that has seen catastrophic earthquakes in the past. In 1992, 2,500 people were killed in a tsunami and earthquake that hit that same area. And an American tourist was killed by a lightning strike on Sicily's Mount Etna while on a hike. The 29-year-old man from Kansas was rescued by a helicopter but later passed away. Officials say more people have died on Etna from lightning strikes than from volcanic activity. And Luigi Mangioni's New York State murder trial is postponed indefinitely. Mangioni's lawyers filed a motion asking his case to be dismissed because of double jeopardy. So now the judge has given prosecutors until October to respond. This comes after Mangioni pleaded guilty to federal stalking. The next court date for the federal case is set for December. And the prosecution has rested its case in the Lindsay Clancy trial today. She's accused of murdering her 3 children, something that she does not dispute. But her defense has said she was experiencing postpartum psychosis, and today they called Clancy's mother, her sister, and former co-workers to the stand. Clancy's family described her as a loving and dedicated mother and testified that they noticed a steady decline in her mental health in the months leading up to the children's death. And a massive junkyard fire in Virginia today involved more than 100 cars. Fire crews were working since 4 a.m. trying to put that fire out. Officials say no one was hurt and the cause of the fire is still under investigation. And in California, could accused parent killer Nick Reiner get access to a $1.5 million trust fund from his family? Well, Reiner is wanting to use that money to hire a private defense lawyer as he prepares to stand trial for the murder charges. Right now, he has a public defender, but a trustee is trying to block that, pointing to a California law known as the Slayer Statute, which is supposed to stop a person from inheriting money from someone that they, quote, intentionally kill. The judge is now reviewing all of it. Reiner has pleaded not guilty to both first-degree murder charges. Let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Angela Sinandela. Angela, the Slayer Statute, it seems pretty direct. Is there something here that would make Reiner's case different?
Yeah, I actually think that, in light of obviously the public policy concerns, how you might think that he should not be able to access his money because of what he's on trial for, that it is possible that the trustee in this case will have to release the funds. And there's 2 main reasons for this. So the first is that he is arguing that this trust was established in 1993, the year of his birth, so that technically he has been owed these funds for a while. It's not a situation where the inheritance was supposed to kick in upon the passing of his parents. And the second main issue that he's arguing here is that the Slayer Statute is really only supposed to come into effect after it has been determined that the person has killed whoever it is that has left the inheritance for them. And that in this case, because it's still just an accusation, it is just an allegation, there's been no finding of guilt yet, that as a result, these criminal defense funds should come from his trust. So these 2 arguments are legally pretty strong, even if they seem untasteful, Gotti.
Interesting. Do we know of any other famous cases where this was applied that would set some precedent here?
Yeah, so the most famous case that we know of is the Menendez brothers. And a lot of similar legal battles happened, but ultimately the Menendez brothers were able to access some of their estate funds from their parents that they ultimately were found guilty of having murdered. And they were able to access them to pay an enormous amount of criminal defense fees, over $1 million. And so in a case like this, where it hasn't yet been determined whether or not the murder has happened, it is very possible that these funds can still be distributed, Gotti.
Interesting. Angela Sinandela, I really appreciate you. Thank you. And now to yet another art heist in Italy. 4 Renaissance paintings were stolen from a museum in Sicily, estimated to be worth tens of millions of dollars. And this comes just days after Italian police recovered 3 stolen artworks from another museum earlier this year. Raf Sanchez has those details.
Hey there, yeah, Italian police barely had time to celebrate cracking one major stolen art case when another one fell right into their laps. Here's the deal. On Friday, Italian authorities announced with a lot of fanfare they had solved a mystery from northern Italy. 6 months ago, group of thieves broke into a museum there. You can see pretty stunning CCTV. It shows them going from gallery to gallery. They take these 3 masterpieces off the wall and they smuggle them out. These paintings worth a cumulative $10 million. Now, on Friday, Italian authorities announced not only had they arrested 5 people in connection with this case, but they had safely recovered all 3 of those paintings. Fast forward another 24 hours, and you have another museum robbed and more masterpieces missing. This time it's in Sicily, southern Italy, in the city of Messina. Authorities there say a bunch of paintings by the 15th century Renaissance artist Antonello de Messina were stolen from a museum. They're not giving a whole lot of details about what exactly happened, but they are saying the thieves appear to have timed this robbery to coincide with a major religious festival that was happening in the city over the weekend. About 100,000 people were there, lots of crowds. The police focused on crowd control, and these thieves seem to have used that as their opportunity to strike. Now, one question a lot of people have is, what do you actually do with a stolen masterpiece? How do you resell it if it is so widely recognizable? Now, the answer, experts say, is in some cases it can be ransomed back to its owners. In other cases, it can be some sort of private collector who actually commissions the thieves to go steal it for their own personal collection. But one other possibility is these paintings can be quite useful as collateral in major underground black market deals. And that is why art theft remains a booming business. I'll send it back to you.
Fascinating. Ralph Sanchez, thank you. And First Lady Melania Trump's office announcing today that she helped a child reunite with their family after being separated during the Russia-Ukraine war. But missing from the announcement was the First Lady herself. The last time she was seen in public was nearly a month ago at the World Cup, leaving a lot of people wondering where she is right now. NBC's Monica Alba reports.
Melania Trump noticeably keeping a much lower profile this stint as First Lady. An NBC News analysis of her schedule found that she's made about half as many public appearances this term as she did by this point in President Trump's first administration. Just in the last month, skipping several high-profile events that a First Lady would traditionally attend, like the late Senator Lindsey Graham's funeral or the dignified transfer for 4 soldiers killed overseas. The last time the First Lady was seen publicly was about a month ago at the FIFA World Cup final on July 19th. And her last public remarks at a Treasury Department event on June 11th.
For the first time, children in foster care will have access to a dedicated savings and investment vehicle.
Of course, this year she graced the silver screen.
Hi, Mr. President. Congratulations.
Did you watch it?
I did not. Yeah, I will see it on the news.
Self-titled film Melania, for which she earned more than $10 million. It was considered a box office success for a documentary, grossing more than $16 million.
Here we go again.
And she also has an upcoming docuseries set to come out later this year.
Everyone wants to know. So here it is.
Taking much of the summer off from public-facing events is not new for Melania Trump. She did something similar last year. But by this point in the first term, when her husband was still seeking another term, she visited 14 states and Puerto Rico, including the 2018 trip to the border when she wore the infamous "I really don't care, do you" jacket. This term, 9. By comparison, First Lady Jill Biden visited some 33 states at this point in her husband's presidency, when he too was still expected to run again. Melania Trump also went on 6 foreign trips at this point in the first term, visiting 13 countries versus 2 in the last 19 months. Now, the First Lady's senior advisor tells us she, quote, prioritizes results over appearances. Her office also pointing to her work supporting legislation for children in the foster care system and targeting the spread of deepfake attacks against youth online. And just today, announcing the reunification of another child separated from their family during the Russia-Ukraine war, bringing the total number of reunified kids through her efforts to 34, according to the release. And her advisor says she will have several high-profile events in the coming weeks.
Monica Alba, thank you. Coming up, a family says they've spent months in ICE custody, all allegedly because of someone they're related to. The story ahead. Stay tuned. All right, 3 minutes. You've got 3 minutes.
Staying at the desk.
Staying at the desk, staying at the desk. Okay, what are you guys talking about? Interesting. Jeffrey Menendez. 10 seconds. Interesting. All right. So in just a bit, we're going to talk about weather modification and what that means for the future. Are there legitimate concerns about weather modification? Did I say joke yard? Did I say joke yard? I hope I didn't, but I might have. I mess up sometimes. But it was a junkyard, not a joke yard. Junkyard. Why doesn't NBC News Now have live shows after you tell the 11 p.m. East? That's a good question, Jay Place. Maybe we will. Maybe we will eventually. Thomas, caught you on NBC Nightly News this past Saturday when I saw you wearing a suit. I just had to laugh. It doesn't fit your persona. Wow, Thomas, I was trying to be professional. Nightly News is the most important news show on air. I mean, I'm trying to do a good job. Let's see, but I do love my show. This show is great, and I really appreciate that. I think that was a kind of a compliment. I don't know. I'll take it. And I love it. Let's see. What's it like to anchor nightly, and how does it differ from Stay Tuned? I mean, I think that comment up there pretty much, like the big networks. Education helps your life. Okay. Yes, Bishop, you are. You guys are already giving me a complex. So the chat complex. I don't know about that. We've got this really interesting conversation about weather modification. Is it happening? Chemtrails, all that stuff. And also, why are lawmakers taking it super seriously? That is what we're going to be talking about coming up. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Also, World's Ugliest Dog. I don't know if you guys saw this morning on the Today Show, but it's a cutie. And then we've got a story out of Los Angeles about a family who's been in ICE lockup for quite some time here. So here we go. 15 seconds.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. ICE continues to detain people around the country, including those who have legal permanent residence here. One family in L.A. has spent months in ICE custody, saying not for something they did, but for who they're related to. KNBC's Darsha Phillips has more.
We are in tremendous pain and have been trapped in an unendurable, unending nightmare.
Jacob Hart reading a letter published in The Nation, an online magazine. The author, his friend Miriam Tomasebi, begging for help.
Imagine that you are an independent woman wading through the waters of sexism and patriarchy every day, and then you are told that not only do your own ideas and academic achievements not matter, but you are somehow now responsible for decisions you never made and for things that happened before you were even born.
Miriam, a professor at L.A. Pierce College, her husband Issa Hashemi, who is also an educator, and their 16-year-old son, all permanent residents of the United States, were detained by ICE in April, their green cards revoked. Miriam and her son were taken to the Dilley Detention Center in Texas. Her husband is being held at another nearby facility. Miriam and her son only able to speak to Issa over the phone for 10 minutes every 2 weeks.
What struck me was that this seemed to be the first time that the foreign policy ground was being used to target people based not on any conduct of theirs whatsoever, but based solely on family relationship.
Miriam and Issa's lawyers say the family was detained because Issa is the son of this woman, who at 19 years old was a spokesperson for a group of university students who held U.S. citizens hostage 47 years ago during the Islamic Revolution.
At no point has a State Department or has the government once offered any evidence that this family poses a viable, actual threat to national security. In America, we do not punish people for who they're related to.
But the family's lawyers say this is exactly what is happening, and it appears to have started with an online campaign to get them removed that got the attention of state officials, including Leo Terrell, who tagged Secretary of State Marco Rubio just days before the family was detained.
All this misinformation, disinformation campaign collectively led to getting the attention of some high-level official at the State Department, who then, flagged it for the likes of Rubio, resulting in this so-called Rubio determination that they pose a threat to our foreign policy.
Loved ones say Issa and Miriam are hardworking and caring people.
She teaches all of our classes. There isn't a single subject she won't teach. So she just shows up. She shows up for the community. She shows up for her colleagues and shows up for her students.
I think everybody probably has in their mind, this is the sweetest human I've ever met. And it's not exaggeration for me when I say it's Issa.
After months in detention, the family did offer to voluntarily depart the country, but they were denied, quote, at this time.
She said, we love this country, but we understand it doesn't love us back. So that's fine. We're not fighters. We'll go. Just let us go. And they're refusing.
The family says they don't know how much longer they can take living separated and in limbo. The conditions at the detention center, they say, are unbearable.
There's black mold everywhere. There's bugs everywhere. The water is not potable. I mean, this is now the story of each and every one of these prisons around the country, right? This is not specific to Dilley, but this is also the story of this young family.
And lawyers say the entire ordeal has been emotionally destabilizing for the couple's teenage son. The detention center is not supposed to house children for this long. Their son writing to his attorneys that he wishes he could have more contact with his friends.
He's now been there, I think, 6 times the length of the allowable length. But this is what happens.
Loved ones and the family's lawyers now trying to bring attention to what they say is a grave injustice.
At some point, it has to stop. At some point, there needs to be a line that says, okay, we're not going to sink to the level of collective punishment or bloodline punishment. This is the kind of stuff that happens in countries like Iran.
Hoping that if enough people care.
Anybody in this country right now who thinks that within the foreseeable future this government won't come after them for one reason or another needs to wake up.
To write their senators and share this story.
I'm under no illusions. I know what it actually takes, and it's going to take all of us.
Then maybe this family and others like them will get the due process they deserve.
So show up. Show up. That's all I'm asking. If anybody watching this, just show up for those who cannot show up for themselves.
Darsha Phillips, thank you. And the Department of Homeland Security issued a statement saying ICE arrested Issa Syed Hashemi, his wife Miriam Tubashebe, and their minor son in Los Angeles, California. Issa Syed is the son of Masoumeh Ebtekar, Iranian regime politician who also acted as a spokesperson during the Iran hostage crisis of 1979. ICE law enforcement officers successfully apprehended all 3 individuals whose presence in the United States posed a clear threat to our national security and foreign policy. And coming up in the future of everything, how conspiracy theories led to a nationwide push to ban projects that people think can alter the weather. That's ahead, so stay tuned.
2 minutes. We're going to be at the tower.
All right, tower time. Whew. Okay, let's see here. See why you guys are saying that. Let's see. Interesting. Appreciate you guys sharing your opinions cordially. That's wonderful. Thank you. Everybody has a right to their opinion. Let's see here. Hours do you have to go on the Today Show? Jay Place. This morning, 2 hours. William, none. SML, I hope you enjoyed Patterson. Guys, this is an interesting one, okay? This is the future of geoengineering. So here we go. What's our time back?
45.
45 seconds, okay.
hocus pocus.
Every
time I look at her resume, I'm thinking, holy crap, and she's so nonchalant about it. She just lets you know she has no pronouns about the arguments. Cool, I love it.
30.
Can you hold this real quick?
15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. Tonight we are talking about the future of geoengineering and this crash course it seems to be on into the world of conspiracies. Now, geoengineering is basically an umbrella word for altering the atmosphere or climate on purpose. And now there's this nationwide push to ban it, and it is growing. And a lot of it's being fueled by conspiracy theories like these.
If you've ever looked up and seen long white trails stretching across the sky, you're not the only one. Some people point to them as evidence of a secret spraying program.
Oh look, it's my daily dose of governmental poison. Oh my goodness. Wow. It's not gonna miss me this time. No siree.
So is this an attack within? Like, what is going on? Somebody gotta answer to this, man.
All right, so there's videos like that you see on social media, but now some of those fears seem to be turning into floor votes. 3 states have passed bans already. 28 states have proposed bills so far, but the thing is, it doesn't seem to be any big weather modification projects beyond some of the cloud seeding programs that we've seen in use out in the West for decades. But a lot of conspiracies seem to think that those exist. So let's bring in NBC News' science reporter Evan Bush to kind of separate fact from fiction here. He wrote a really interesting piece on all of this a little bit earlier. Thank you so much for being with us. What are lawmakers trying to stop right now?
Thanks so much, Gotti. Really appreciate it. So lawmakers, let's start with the chemtrails theory. It's unfounded. There's nothing to it that scientists, will say is real. So I reached out to more than a dozen lawmakers. The story I wrote, only 2 responded. One said he wanted to stop chemtrails. He's a true believer in the unfounded theory. And another said he didn't know exactly what to think about chemtrails, but his constituents wanted a ban on them. And he listens to his constituents. He said he didn't find any evidence of weather modification, but he targeted his legislation to address cloud seeding because he thought it would help him pass the bill and serve his constituents.
Yeah, and just to, set the record straight. Look, I'm a kid from New Mexico. If there's anybody that takes conspiracies and goes down every single rabbit hole and sniffs around for anything, trust me, I am one of those guys, right? Chemtrails, let's just set the record straight here, condensation, right? From everything that we've seen, from the science that we know about, these are jet planes that today you can track on jet tracking apps. It'll tell you what flight that is, where that flight is headed, and you can also check the atmospheric conditions, and you can see all of that stuff line up. Now, there is something to be said about putting ominous music on any sort of TikTok or social media posts, but there is something inherent about us humans that sees something like that, looks for patterns, and does want to believe, right? Does that play into this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. 3 states you mentioned that have enacted these bans, they're getting just a flood of messages to hotlines that they've set up for citizens to report their concerns about weather modifications. And I've seen reports from 2 of those states. They're filled with anger, confusion, just disbelief that nobody's doing anything about these clouds that they're worried about. And, it's a lot of innocuous pictures of airplane contrails, but it's, concerning to people. These ideas take hold, and we're seeing that they're fueling legislation in 28 states, like you mentioned.
Interesting. I mean, this makes me think of this company, Rainmaker, that we were talking to out of El Segundo. And we were talking to the founder a little bit earlier this year, and he was talking about how he was receiving death threats because his company, they put up drones and they cloud seed with that silver particulate. And again, these are very small drones. He wishes he could change the weather. Trust me, like this guy has big, ambitious plans to try to bring moisture down across the West and in the dry areas. But they were doing this very, very small cloud seeding operation. They were very transparent about what they could do and how limited that technology was. And he was just talking about all the death threats that he got after a cloud seeding operation that happened to be in the days before the big storms came through Texas that led to a lot of deaths. He walked us through the science. He walked us through where they were, showed us very specifically how this was in no way related to deadly storms that we see every single day. And yet the vitriol that you saw in those comments, like it does seem like we've gone from people commenting online to now legislation being considered in the halls of these state legislatures, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a real opportunity, you know, instead of having each state go through and make its own legislation for federal action here to make, you know, citizens feel safe and like they understand what technology is being applied in their area. The NOAA, you know, the atmospheric agency, does require anybody who wants to do weather modification of any kind to fill out a report. But regulators have found that those reports have been flawed, and that's led to some concerns that, you know, the federal government, if it just kept better track of everything, would you know, make people feel more cozy about what was going on in their airspace, the public's airspace.
A lot of that, though, I mean, look, again, the government historically has given us many reasons to raise our eyebrows when they talk about what can and can't be done. Are there things on the horizon when it comes to geoengineering that we should be like kind of concerned about, that there should be lines drawn in the sand?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so there are scientists who are very concerned about geoengineering ideas. There's kind of wild stuff, you know, stratospheric aerosol injections. That's not happening. This is all, you know, in theory form. No one's tested this in any way at scale. You know, but it involves, you know, putting particles into the atmosphere that would dim the sun, basically. And that's something that scientists really want to make sure that it's tested, it's safe before it's used.
Yeah, it is a very, very confusing time. Best to just slow down and realize how much we don't know sometimes. And yet, again, I always kind of look to what science can tell us. Evan Bush, we really appreciate you stopping by. A fascinating report. Thank you. And searching for love in the digital age, that is tough, whether you're trying to find your special someone in person or maybe on the apps, right? It's usually easier with a wingman. Well, what if your wingman was AI? Ali Canal explains.
I've been dating since I was 15. I'm exhausted. Where is he?
Dating. While courtship has been around forever, modern-day meet-cutes include everything from in-person to matchmakers and, of course, the apps. But now there's two more letters in the search for LOVE, AI. Take Grindr. With a long-standing reputation as a hookup app, the company now says it wants to become something more with the help of AI.
I think AI is the future across all our life. I mean, there's going to be no way to escape it.
Today, the CEO of the world's largest gay dating app says it uses AI to write 75% of its code and has embedded it across the entire user experience. They even call it Gay-I. Take a look at Edge, the app's first AI-powered premium subscription tier. Okay, so this is the Edge app right now.
Yeah, this is the Grindr app with Edge fully enabled.
It helps users find their type by curating profiles, recapping meaningful chats, and spotlighting certain messages to avoid misconnections. It's still in the testing phase and could cost north of $100 a month. He says users seem willing to pay it.
The stickiness with people who are in the Edge tier already actually has been much higher than we would have expected it to be.
People may be willing to pay up because, let's be honest, dating in general feels sort of broken right now. Lots of changes in the works. Just last week, a major reversal at Bumble, which got rid of its signature women make the first move approach, now allowing men to message first. More companies are also embracing in-person events as online dating increasingly moves offline. Some surveys show 3/4 of Gen Z are feeling dating app burnout. And over the last decade or so, studies show less sex, less marriage, even fewer kids. So is the answer to the problem the algorithm may have helped create just another more powerful algorithm? It's a question virtually every dating site is trying to answer.
I think people are not so much exhausted from experiences online. They're exhausted from stale experiences online. What you need to do is constantly be innovating.
That innovation across dating apps has included everything from AI photo enhanced tools at Tinder, which some say can leave users looking almost unrecognizable in their pics, to an AI-driven coach at Hinge, suggesting opening lines to break the ice and tweaks to profile prompts. Speaking of Hinge, its co-founder stepped away and is now betting on a new dating service built around voice and audio AI introductions. Even with no official launch date, it says it's raised $18 million and has an extensive wait list, including me. While we wait, I tried out another one of these AI dating apps for myself.
Right now, my AI is asking me questions about my daily routine. I just told it that I'm a night owl. It followed up and said, what's your favorite way to unwind?
To be totally honest, I didn't think it was half bad. The experience at least felt a little more personal than the usual swipe left, swipe right.
I downloaded the AI matchmaking app Amada, and the date went better than I even imagined.
But AI infiltrating online dating has caused some, well, mixed feelings.
I was set up by a computer. If this doesn't sound like the beginning of a horror movie, I don't know what does.
To find your needle in a haystack, good luck searching, because we know how unsuccessful dating apps have been for the majority of singles in America.
That's the CEO of 3 Day Rule, a matchmaking service that now also offers a separate AI-powered matchmaker named Ty, which spent a full hour talking with me about myself and dating preferences.
And I keep asking, how many more questions? They say we're almost done.
We want to know about all of the things that make you tick. Again, the more information we have on you, the better we can find you your life partner.
But is that such a good thing? Some say they don't mind the AI assist.
If it's used to be for something good, I mean, I don't mind it.
While others say not so fast.
That's why we're living in Black Mirror.
I'm still waiting on AI to find my better half. But as I channels my inner Carrie Bradshaw, I couldn't help but wonder, could AI actually help us find love? Or is that one match even the smartest algorithm can't make?
Oh my gosh, Allie Canal. Plot twists abound in that story. So interesting. A lot to think about there. Thank you, Allie. And still to come, the world's ugliest dog has been crowned, but despite the title, Jenny Lou the pug, she is stealing hearts. That's ahead, but first you got to see this. In Buenos Aires, a group of motorcyclists traded in their usual gear for capes and costumes from the world of superheroes. They were on a mission to deliver toys to a hospital. That ride was organized to celebrate Children's Day, adding a little bit of joy and excitement to kids facing serious health challenges. And while not all heroes wear capes, those guys do. We'll be right back. All right. 2:15? 1:15? That's not very long. Okay, we got 1:15 to deal with the spiciness in the comments section. My favorite contests in the world is back. Let's see. Tonight, one of my favorite contests in the world is back. Yes, conspiracy. Cloud seeding barely does. Guys, look, again, with the conspiracies, I hear you. And there's not a conspiracy that I'm not like, let me look into that. And I see you guys talking about Hawaii. I see you guys talking about North Carolina. I think you guys are talking about Hurricane Helene. Okay. I gotta say, looked into those things. And if you take some time to just look into them as well, and, I think, the Hurricane Helene conspiracy went something along the lines of, DARPA, and there was, some high ionosphere testing. Those things, they don't have enough power to do the things that we think they can do. It comes down to like the cloud seeding operations. Again, cloud seeding, they are trying to make moisture come down from clouds, and they're using little silver particulate to make that happen, but it's so small. If it was big, they would be able to charge a lot of money. And like all good conspiracies, you got to follow the money, right? Well, if those things were possible, like people would be generating massive amounts of money from easier revenue plays, and we just don't see that happening. So that's one way to debunk those conspiracies. The other is to just go about looking at the radar data yourself and then trying to extrapolate some of the, the trajectories of like those clouds and what we know about the atmospheric conditions. It doesn't work with what the conspiracy says. But again, I'm not saying don't believe it. I'm just saying do a lot more research than just those TikTok videos and somebody telling you that they've done the science. Try to do some of the science yourself. Anyway, more to come. World's Ugliest Dog. Stay tuned. All right.
Thank you, Gotti.
Thank you, guys.